What's a story, amigos? This is Kino with some cool stories for today's story time.
Sometimes the treasure is hidden where you least expect it. That's in our first story, read by Rosana De Soto.
When he got home, he dug under his stove, and there he found...
Also, Lily is jealous of her new baby brother.
Lily had to share her room with Julius. After Julius goes away, do I get my room back, she asked. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's parents. And he didn't.
And for a musical ending, come join the band led by Bob Harrison.
Tum-tum-dee-dum, diddle-diddle-dum, rat-a-tat-tat.
Major funding for Storytime is made possible by a grant from Helen and Peter Bain, so that families everywhere can share the joy of reading with their children. Additional funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, by the annual financial support from viewers like you, and by the National Endowment for Children's Educational Television.
Music and songs as much as you like stories and books, Mara?
Oh, yes, I love music as much as I like books, but in a different way.
Oh, fantastico! I have a really cool surprise for you.
Aha, one of Kino's surprises.
Yeah.
Oh, is that your surprise?
Oh, be patient, Mara. Who's there?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Rosana. Hey, Kino, you want me to come in and read a story?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. A big resounding yes!
Come on in, Rosana.
Whoa, the story fiesta's about to start. I better go over there and join my pals.
Is everyone ready for some good stories today?
Yeah!
Good. I'm sure you're going to love the book that I've brought. Come on in, Rosana.
Hi, kids.
You know, I brought a really fresh book, too. And I have a surprise for everybody.
Oh, well, I am very curious about this surprise. But you know what, Kino?
Yeah.
I would be willing to wait if we could have Rosana read your book, The Treasure. Will you?
Of course I will.
Great.
Okay. Kino's book is about a man named Isaac who had the same dream 3 times. Then he decided to do something about his dream. The story is called The Treasure by Yuri Shulevitz. There once was a man, and his name was Isaac. He lived in such poverty that again and again he went to bed hungry. So one night, he had a dream. And in his dream, a voice told him, go to the capital city and look for a treasure under the bridge by the royal palace. It's only a dream, he thought when he woke up, and he paid no attention to it. The dream came back the second night, and Isaac again paid no attention to it. When the dream came back a third time, he said, well, maybe it's true. And so he set out on his journey. Now and then, someone gave him a ride, but most of the time he walked through the forests. He crossed over mountains. Finally, he reached the capital city. But when he came to the bridge by the royal palace, he found that it was guarded day and night. He did not dare to search for the treasure. Yet he returned to the bridge every morning and wandered around until dark. One day, the captain of the guards asked, why are you here? Isaac told him the dream. The captain laughed. You poor fellow, he said. What a pity you wore your shoes out for a dream. Listen, If I believed a dream I once had, I would go right now to the city you came from. And I'd look for a treasure under the stove in the house of a fellow named Isaac. And he laughed again. You see him laughing? Isaac bowed to the captain and started out on his long way home. He crossed mountains. He walked through forests. Now and then, someone gave him a ride, but most of the time, he walked. At last, he reached his own town. When he got home, he dug under his stove, and there he found the treasure. That's right. In Thanksgiving, he built a house of prayer, and in one of his corners, he put an inscription. Sometimes one must travel far to discover what is near. Isaac sent the captain of the guards a priceless ruby, and for the rest of his life, he lived in contentment, and he was never, ever poor again. What is this story about?
Oh, I know.
Oh, of course you know, Kino. You know this story.
Yeah.
Why don't we give someone else a chance?
Yeah.
It's about an old man that is poor, and then he got rich by the gold.
He found a... What did he find?
I know.
Kino, let someone else answer, okay?
All right.
He wanted treasure.
Because...
He was very poor.
Okay. What did Isaac dream?
He dreamed about that the treasure was at the big city, and
The capital city,
the
right?
capital city, and he went over there and it wasn't there. It was at his house.
I would have looked all around my house first.
But the captain told him where it was, didn't he? He said it was under the stove.
And he went home and he went and looked under the stove,
And what did he do? He started,
digging.
yeah.
You know what? He dreamt this dream, but he went all the way there, and it wasn't there, so he went all the way back and it was there.
Right, and it was right under his own stove. Who would have known that? I mean, would you have thought of that? I wouldn't have thought of that.
I would.
Oh, I know.
You've been very patient, Kino. Very patient waiting. So now it's your turn.
Awesome. What was the question?
What did Isaac dream?
Oh, yeah, I know the answer to this. He dreamed there was a treasure under the bridge.
And did he find it?
He had to go home to find it.
Hey, what? Maybe that treasure is still under the bridge. Now, where was that bridge anyway?
Kino, that was just in the story, remember? Besides, the real treasures are right here.
Huh? Where?
Kino, right here. Good friends and good stories. What else do you need, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, this makes me happy all over. So, Rosanna, can you please read us another story?
Oh, yes.
Huh? Please?
Well,
Mara's choice.
Let me see.
Please.
Well, okay, but first I want to ask you a question. How many of you have a brother or a sister? Oh, my goodness. How did you feel when your brother or your sister was born? Do you remember that? Do you remember how you felt, Robert?
I felt happy.
You felt happy? Well, I'd like to read you all a story about a little girl who lives happily with her parents, and then her little brother is born, and she's not too happy about that. The story is Julius, the Baby of the World, by Kevin Heynckes. Before Julius was born, Lily was the best big sister in the world. She gave him things. She told him secrets, and she sang lullabies to him every night. You see her singing lullabies? to Julius, and Julius is still where? He's still in Mommy's belly. After Julius was born, it was a different story. Lily took her things back. She pinched his tail, and she yelled insulting comments into his crib. "I am the queen," said Lily, "and I hate Julius." But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose, they admired his small black eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Lily thought his wet pink nose was slimy. She thought his small black eyes were beady. And she thought his sweet white fur was not so sweet, especially when he needed his diaper changed. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Lily had to share her room with Julius. After Julius goes away, do I get my room back, she asked. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's parents. And he didn't. He stayed, and he stayed, and he stayed. Lily was supposed to be very quiet while Julius slept. After Julius goes away, can I talk like a normal person? She shouted. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's father, and he didn't. He stayed, and he stayed, and guess what? He stayed. We want Julius to grow up to be as extraordinary as you, said Lily's mother, so we must tell him constantly how beautiful he is and how much we love him. When no one was looking, Lily had her own idea. You see her here, leaning over the crib? You know what she's saying to him? I hate you! You're ugly, Julius! We want Julius to grow up to be as clever as you, said Lily's father. So we must sing him his numbers and letters whenever possible. When no one was looking, Lily had her own idea. Lily's parents were more than a bit doubtful about leaving the two of them alone together. Lily tried to frighten Julius with her nifty disguises. She learned magic and tried to make him disappear. When that didn't work, she simply pretended that he didn't exist. Lily spent more time than usual in the uncooperative chair. Lily's parents showered her with hugs and kisses and treats of all shapes and sizes. They even let her stay up 15 minutes later every night. It didn't matter. Nothing worked. I am the queen, she said. And I hate Julius. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black beady eyes. And they stroked his sweet white fur. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Disgusting. Lily's parents were amused when Julius blew a bubble. Can you believe it, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's mind our manners, please. Lily's parents were dazzled when Julius babbled and gurgled. Such a vocabulary, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's act our age, please. Lily's parents were amazed when Julius screamed. What lung capacity, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's restrain ourselves, please. One morning, while Lily was busy playing opera, her mother said, why don't you put some of that verbal exuberance to good use? Why don't you tell Julius a nice story? He's too little to understand a story, said Lily. He can understand it in his own way, said Lily's mother. Okay, said Lily, smiling. Julius, the germ of the world, by me, said Lily. Once upon a time, said Lily, there was a baby. His name was Julius. Julius was really a germ. Julius was like dust under your bed. If he was a number, he would be a 0. If he was a food, he would be a raisin. 0 is nothing. A raisin tastes like dirt. The end, said Lily. The story earned her 10 minutes in the uncooperative chair. Lily warned her friends, Chester and Wilson and Victor, about babies. Trust me, they're dreadful, she said. She warned strangers about babies, too. You will live to regret that bump under your dress, she said. Lily ran away 7 times in one morning. I'm really leaving this time, she called. Who knows where they'll find me? The same afternoon, Lily had a tea party and everyone came. Everyone, but Julius. His invitation must have been lost in the mail, she explained. Lily had glorious dreams about Julius and ghastly nightmares about Julius. Lily's parents showered her with compliments and praise and niceties of all shapes and sizes. They even let her drink her juice out of the antique china cup. It didn't matter. Nothing worked. I am the queen, said Lily, and I hate Julius. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose, they admired his small black beady eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Disgusting, disgusting, said Lily. When Lily's mother felt up to it, she planned a festive celebration in honor of Julius. All the relatives came. There was quite a spread. What's the big deal, said Lily. Haven't they all seen a big lump before? Apparently not. All afternoon, the relatives hovered all over Julius. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black beady eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Disgusting, said Cousin Garland. What, said Lily? Julius, said Cousin Garland. I think his wet pink nose is slimy. I think his small black eyes are beady. And I think his sweet white fur is not so sweet. He needs his diaper changed. Lily's nose twitched. Her eyes narrowed. Her fur stood on end, and her tail quivered. You're talking about my brother, said Lily. And for your information, his nose is shiny. His eyes are sparkly, and his fur smells like perfume. Cousin Garland was speechless. He can blow bubbles, continued Lily. He can babble and gargle, and he can scream better than anyone. Cousin Garland tried to slink out of the room. Stop, said Lily. I am the queen. Watch me closely. Lily picked up Julius. She kissed his wet pink nose. She admired his small black eyes, and she stroked his sweet white fur. Your turn, said Lily, handing Julius over to Cousin Garland. Kiss, admire, stroke, Lily commanded. Now, repeat after me, said Lily. Julius is the baby of the world. Julius is the baby of the world, said Cousin Garland. Louder, said Lily. Julius is the baby of the world. And from then on, he was, in everyone's opinion, especially Lily's.
Oh, that was a good story.
Why didn't Lily like Julius?
They never even paid attention to Lily, and then they only paid attention to Julius because he was the littlest.
Mm-hmm. And she didn't like that, did she?
She just wanted all the attention because her little brother was getting all the attention. She wanted it all, didn't she?
She wanted
some of it.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead, Robert. What'd you say?
She wanted some of it.
Yeah, she wanted some of the attention.
Not all of it. Yeah, because then it would be not fair to the baby. Not fair to the baby. They're supposed to have, both of them supposed to have attention.
First, she didn't like the baby. Then at the end of the story, she liked him. Now, why did she change her mind about Julius? What made her change her mind?
Oh, because somebody was talking about Julius. Because someone was talking about Julius, and that didn't make her feel good, because that was her brother.
You have a little sister, don't you, Kino?
I sure do. Mariana's the little shrimp's name.
Well, I have seen you two together, and you guys seem to be pretty good friends.
Oh, yep. We have our laughs. I give her a break most times. I mean, We all start out as little shrimps, you know.
Well, I say that everyone is special in their own way.
It's a wonderful day. It's a story time day. It's a kind of day when we let our imaginations out. We let our imaginations out to play. Let's read a book. Let's read a book right now.
Since you've been very patient, Mara, that's my surprise.
Oh, Kino, thank you so much. Oh, now I understand why you were asking me if I liked music. That was wonderful.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Bob.
I'm Bob.
Right, you know, my buddy Bob is great reading stories with music in them. And he came ready for action, right, Bob?
I did, and I'm going to need all of your help with this story, okay?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I have something for everybody. Now, there's a red one, and there's a white and a blue one,
That's mine. I had a red one.
and a white with red,
I had a red one.
and red and white, and red and white, and white and yellow.
That's mine.
There's one, and I have one for Kino.
Oh, great, yeah. Thanks.
And the last one. Okay, this is the story of the Happy Hedgehog Band, all made up of animals who live in the woods. It was written by Martin Waddell and illustrated by Jill Barton. Deep in the heart of Dickon Woods lived a happy hedgehog named Harry. Say, hi, Happy Harry!
Hi, Harry.
Harry loved noise, so he made a big drum. And he banged on the drum. Tum-tum-tee-dum. Put your hands on your tummy, and that'll be your drum. And we go, tum-tum-tee-dum. Very good. That's it. You got it. A hedgehog called Helen was out in the woods, and she heard tum-tum-tee-dum, and she liked it. Ooh. She made a drum, and off she went to join in the drumming. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum-dum. So did a hedgehog named Norbert and another called Billy. They both made drums and followed the tum-tum-tee-dums until all of the hedgehogs were gathered together at Harry's. 4 hedgehogs, 4 drums, but they each sounded differently. Tum-tum-tee-dum went one drum, that was Harry's. Diddle-diddle-dum went one drum, that was Helen's. Rat-a-tat-tat went one drum, that was Norbert's. And boom went one drum, that was Billy. They put it all together, get ready, and they went tum-tum-tee-dum, diddle-diddle-dum, rat-a-tat-tat, boom! And again, tum-tum-tee-dum, diddle-diddle-dum, rat-a-tat-tat, boom! All the woods were humming and tumming with drumming. The other animals are peeking out to see what it's all about. Stop! Cried the pheasant and the owl and the bee, the mole from his hole and a badger called Sam and his mother, and the fox and the crow and the deer and the dove and the frog and the toad and the spider and a dog who was lost in the woods.
And a bee.
The bee was there too. And the last tum, and they all stopped. Uh-oh. Do you think they were in trouble?
Yeah.
No.
We want to play too, said the others, but we haven't got any drums. So what can we do? Nobody knew except Harry. There he is. He's thinking of a solution. Harry knew all about noise. He said, "You can hum." And you can hoot. And you can buzz. Bzz, bzz. And you can whistle. And you can clap. And you can click. And you can pop. we'll carry on with all the drums. And Harry said, ready? Begin! Tum-tum-dee-dum.
Pop, 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 pop.
Clap, 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 clap. They sure did. And the dog who was lost in the woods just danced. Let's hear one last drumming, everyone. Get ready. Tum-tum-dee-dum, diddle-diddle-dum, rat-a-tat-tat. Boom! Very good.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Oh, good one.
That was really a nice surprise, Kino. Thank you.
Yeah. I know. Hey, you know, it's the perfect time for the story picks. Know what I mean, Jelly Bean?
Why, yes, I do, Pink Kangaroo.
Hey, there's no such thing as a pink kangaroo.
And I'm no jelly bean, you know what I mean? But it is a good time for us to do your story picks, Kino.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have two stories that I really, really like a lot. The first is the story of Ferdinand. It's about a young bull picked to be the star of a bullfight, but he doesn't like to fight.
Oh, boy, that sounds good. What's the other story called?
The other story's called Flossie and the Fox, and it's about a girl who's not scared at all of a fox. The sly fox wants to steal her grandma's eggs.
Well, good for her. Well, thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank all of you for joining us today on Storytime. Please come back again for our next Storytime. Until then, keep a story in your heart. Bye-bye.
Adios, amigos.
Ciao.
Today's Storytime books are The Treasure by Yuri Shulevitz, Julius, the Baby of the World by Kevin Hanks, The Happy Hedgehog Band by Martin Waddell, illustrated by Jill Barton, The Story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf, drawings by Robert Lawson, and Flossie and the Fox by Patricia McKissack, pictures by Rachel Isadora. You can find these and other books at your local library.
Major funding for Storytime is made possible by a grant from Helen and Peter Bain, so that families everywhere can share the joy of reading with their children. Additional funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, by the annual financial support from viewers like you, and by the National Endowment for Children's Educational Television. Storytime is a production of KCET Los Angeles.